I just finished watching the JJ Redick podcast where he had Joe Ingles on, and they're discussing in their podcast about media outlets like ESPN, Fox News, not taking the Utah Jazz seriously as one of the teams that can go on and win the NBA title. They were outraged how Utah Jazz was not included in the list of NBA contending teams. They were shocked, they were angry. I get it from Joe Ingles' side because Joe Ingles plays for the Utah Jazz and he's competitive and he wants to win the NBA title. And he does not like it when people, media outlets, do not take his team seriously. And he wants to prove them wrong. So I get it. I get why Joe Ingles is outraged and angry. But let's talk about the Utah Jazz for a second and why they should not be included in the list of teams that can contend for the NBA title. Because we have seen this story multiple times. We have seen the same movie multiple times. The Utah Jazz, always in the regular season, they ball out. They ball out. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and they beat good teams. And they get the high number seed in the West. They go 1 or 3rd. Always as 1, 2nd, or 3rd in the West. For the past couple of years, it's been the same story. 1, 2nd, or 3rd is where they get in the standings. And then they get to the playoffs. And do they make it far in the playoffs? No. They get bounced every single season in the playoffs. And for that reason, they're not put on the contending teams. They're not put on the list of teams that can win the NBA title because they have not shown in the playoffs that they can win. It kind of reminds me, this Utah Jazz team reminds me of the Milwaukee Bucks before they won the championship. You know, they had Giannis. Giannis was winning MVPs. But they were never put on the list of teams that can win the NBA title. Why was that? They were not put on those lists because they were being bounced by teams that were worse than them. Yes, Milwaukee doing so good in the regular season. You know, they're winning games, they're hitting three-pointers, they're coming first in the East. And people are like, maybe they can go ahead and win the NBA title. They get to the playoffs, lose to Miami, lose to the Toronto Raptors. Were the Toronto Raptors the number 1 team in the East? No. The Milwaukee Bucks were. They had the home advantage. Guess what happened? They got found out. They got bounced. There was Miami. Did Miami have home court? Well, no one had home court because it was COVID. But guess what? They got bounced. And just last year, before they won the title, were they on the list of teams that can win the NBA title? No. Because we saw the same story. We saw them getting bounced. We saw the coaches were not making adjustment. We thought Giannis can't play in the playoffs. Guess what happened? Guess what happened? They changed the switch. They understood how to play in the playoffs and they won the NBA title. But before that, no one was like, well, I got Milwaukee winning the NBA title this year. No one. They were not on the list. Even when they had Giannis, a 2-time MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year. They were not on the list of teams that we thought that can go ahead and win the NBA title. But they changed the switch. They won the NBA title. And guess what? Now, even if they have a bad season this year, we put them on the list of teams that can win the NBA title because we have seen them do it. And that's the problem with Utah. We have not seen them have success when it comes to the playoffs. They have not. They've been bounced in the playoffs every single season. Yeah, they might have Donovan Mitchell. He reminds me of D. Wade. He has that potential. He can be D. Wade. He can. That'd be a top 20 player in the NBA ever, in my opinion. And you have Rudy Gobert, who is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. One of the best rim protectors we have in the league. And they got the likes of Joe Ingles, who was competitive, who's hella competitive. And they got other players on their team that make a difference. And they do really well when it comes to the regular season. But the playoffs, they make 0 adjustments. They don't make any change to the game. And they play the same game as they did in the regular season. So that's why I don't think this should be put in the list of NBA title. Teams that can win the NBA title for that reason. Let's talk about this Utah team, all right? They have good players. We talked about Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and just the team in general. And obviously, you got Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, winning 6th Man of the Year. But the problem with this team is that they don't make adjustment. And that comes down to the coaching. Quinn Snyder, he's a good coach. But if he wants to be a great coach, if he wants to be remembered as Coach Pop or other coaches that have won the NBA title, he has to get better. And by getting better means making changes, making adjustment when it comes to the playoffs. The problem with Quinn Snyder is that he plays the same way as they do in the regular season. He's like, okay, we're going to go out there, we're going to shoot 3-pointers, Rudy's going to protect the paint, and we're good. And then it comes to the playoffs, the other coaches making changes. Even last year, you saw Rudy Gobert getting killed by the Clippers. They saw they can use Rudy Gobert as one of the weakest defenders in the league when it comes to outside defending. Rudy Gobert is a great defender when it comes to the paint, but if you take him out and you put him on by the 3-pointer, he can't defend for shit. And that's what the Clippers did. They went small, and Rudy Gobert had to go and protect the 3-point line, and he couldn't. And the Clippers easily beat the Utah Jazz. Quinn Snyder could have easily changed. He could have. They were up like 20, 30 points that game when they lost. He could have easily changed it. He would have gone, okay, Rudy's getting killed. That's not working, so let's change. Let's take Rudy out and let's put someone else on there who's small and can guard players on the 3-point line. No. He kept them there, and he got killed. So that's the problem. That's, I think, where their whole problem comes from, is that Quinn Snyder needs to make adjustment when it comes to the playoffs. That's how you win playoff games. It's coaches making adjustment. Coaches saying, okay, this is not working out. Let's change it. Let's put it this way. This is not working out. Let's change it. Let's do this. Okay, I see the other team doing this. Let's change it. That's what he needs. That's why the Utah Jazz have not gone far when it comes to the playoffs. They've got good players. Donovan Mitchell can be a superstar in this league. And he's got the it factor. He's not scared of the moment. He's going to take shots. He might miss them, but he's going to take shots. Rudy is a great defender. So this comes down to the coach making adjustments. And if the coach can make good adjustments, if he can see what's going wrong and fix that, they can go ahead and win. But currently speaking of the Utah Jazz, what we have seen in the past, we have seen the same movie. They play good in the regular season. They beat awful teams, and they do well against good teams because regular season, teams don't make adjustments. Teams just play. They play basketball. They see what they want to see. They play the games out. And the good teams are just like, okay, we just get by. We're just going to keep everyone healthy, and maybe win games and maybe we lose. But they don't make the correct adjustments when it comes to the regular season. So Utah does really well. They kill every team, and they're like first, second, or third. When it gets to the playoffs, they make zero adjustments. They don't see the game's going bad. Okay, maybe Rudy's getting killed. Let's change it. Let's go. That's okay. We just keep it that way. You know, this is the team that got me here. I'm just gonna play the guys out. It's like, no. If Rudy's getting killed, take him out. So they need to win. They need to win in the playoffs. The media outlets and fans would start taking Utah seriously. But it's the same story. You've seen the same story. And I bet you not. If Quinn Snyder does not make adjustments, if he does not make changes, if he does not see, okay, this is not going correct, let's change it up, it's going to be the same story again. It's going to be a first or a second round exit.